Back to the Elephant Room. We've got session number 5 come together, and we've got Jack Graham and TD Jakes. You're both in Dallas, which is in the middle of one of the greatest countries on earth, Texas. And you guys have got huge churches. I heard you're using Cowboy Stadium as an overflow video room. And I went to your church and I said, man, this is a lot of seating. And they said, this is the coffee shop. Your coffee shop seats more people than any building I've got. And so you guys have got huge churches in a huge city that has historically been racially divided. And some would say that Sunday morning is the most segregated hour of the week in America. And so for this topic, we wanted you two men, in the context of friendship, you've known each other for about 10 years, pastoring large churches in the same city, dealing with the issue of race and reconciliation and redemption. And so I'm not going to say a lot. Who wants to go first? Should we arm wrestle over it?
Yeah, let's do it.
To work together, and if there's a takeaway that I want to leave in this discussion as we get it going, we can pray together. That's wonderful. We can be on platforms together. That's awesome. But when we are actually in the trenches together, serving, and that flowed out of our prayer meeting, Bishop, if you'll recall, our people from our churches working together, serving together, doing ministry together in the community, that's what took it to a whole new level. So talking about it and preaching about it cannot compare to actually living this out. Because when I know you, I can love you. And when I see the Jesus in you, I love the Jesus in you, and you love the Jesus in me. And we learn, therefore, truly to be colorblind at that level. I'm grateful that our own church, we're making progress in this area. We have probably between 50 and 60 different countries now represented at Prestonwood. And that includes, because I think, frankly, because of changing worship styles and certainly our own community. Most people go to church in their community. So as our community is changing, our church, I believe, is providing an atmosphere where everyone feels welcome and enjoys being there. So I'll just leave it at that. We'll continue it.
We'll give it to you, Bishop.
Yeah.
Well, I have so much to say about this. I'm
Really?
sure I'm going to ring a bell. First of all, I don't think that you can successfully integrate your church until you integrate your life. You cannot stage people in and prop them in because you need them to.
Bishop, let me just serve you here, buddy. Hold a sec. There we go.
Okay. Because you need them to validate integration if all of your friends are one race or the other. Then it's not really authentic. It's staged. It feels staged to whoever the people group is that you're trying to invite in, and they feel like props in a play for a production. So your church can be no more integrated than your life. We have gradually receded back into the trenches of our comfort zones, where we shop with and eat with and worship with people who vote like us and dress like us and think like us. And this is a problem, not only to the perpetuation of our faith, but the irrigation of our ideas. When you write the books you read, your truth will always be distorted. There is something that happens in cross-pollination in every aspect of life, not just between believers, but in vegetation and crops that creates fruit. And in the absence of that cross-pollination, we have the polarization of ideals and the perpetuation of cynicism that is to the detriment of this country, and it is to the detriment of the body of Christ. The body of Christ will never be what it needs to be until we have other people who challenge your truths with their experiences. And so if you're going to remain relevant in our contemporary society, we have to not only say, you know, it'd be nice if we got together. We've been saying that a long time. And the embarrassing thing is that we are not doing as well as the nightclubs are at integrating. We're not doing as well as the world is at integrating. And we have to challenge that. And I agree with Jack. It's more to it than just racism. It's comfort. It's the natural inclination to be in environments where people look like you, act like you, dress like you, and think like you.
But is that idolatry? I mean, it's the worship of self.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it begins with music and leadership. It is easier, I believe, for African Americans to assimilate into white settings than it is for Caucasians to assimilate into black settings.
And why would you say that?
We've always had to do it.
Yeah.
We have no choice.
It's required.
If we were going to get along at the bank, we had to sit down with the white man and ask the man for a loan. When we went to school, the teachers were white. We went into society. We have to walk into rooms where it's not our music, and the standards of dress for success is by what you say. You have never had to walk into a room where you were a minority and it didn't go the way that fit you. So that doesn't necessarily make you racist, but it does make you comfortable. And I think that we serve a God that challenges all of us to become uncomfortable, to get out of our comfort zones. And if we don't become uncomfortable, we lose relativity. And so as we begin to talk about this issue, it is a complicated issue. The pastor talking to you now about it came from West Virginia with about 5% black people in the entire state of West Virginia. I started a church from the ground up in the coal mines and ended up with a church that was 35% white. So I know that it can be done, but it will not be accidental. It will be intentional. And it is far bigger than blacks and whites. It's Latinos, it's all Asians, it's all types of people groups. And if we don't, we need to irrigate our ideas, because without it, the media and every aspect of our society plays the music to your band. And all of a sudden, if we don't change, we're going to find ourselves in a position that we acquiesce to a state of racism. And it goes from comfortable to racism without us ever even knowing that we have been pitted against each other.
Yeah.
Because we don't talk to each other. And if we don't talk to each other, and I'm not talking about church and props, I'm talking about washing cars together. I'm talking about golfing and playing games. I'm talking about your kids and my kids. I'm talking about us playing together. There's so much misperception because if you are educated about who I am by the books you write about me, what arrogance that you won't even let me be an authority on me. Do I ever get to teach? Can I not? It's like a guy who's telling a wife what it's like to be a woman. At some point, we have to be able, not only, it's like we tell each other to talk, but you also have to be willing to listen. And when you do that, it creates a platform, not only so that the gospel might perpetuate itself, but so that we can begin the business of untangling the way we are being fed information and polarized, and untangle our politics, our history, our religion, our preferences, so that we can get down to what is really true. And if we don't get down to what is really true, do we really have gospel? And that's the task before us. And that means challenging everything. And when Jack and I began to get together and to worship together, his choir director taught one song, we taught another one. Their best singer sang, our best singer sang.
Whose singer was better, though?
Let me tell you something.
No.
There are some white folks that can sing. Don't get that twisted.
There are two. I'm just wondering if one of them's at Jack's church.
Let me tell you something. We had a ball for a weekend. And then we went back to our trenches. Yeah. We have to find a way to fight our way out intentionally if our way of life is going to survive. if we're going to have air and water and health, we have to find a way to connect. See,
I would agree. I would totally agree that the main problem we have today on this issue is apathy. I think that's what I believe that's what you were saying. I mean, it is going back to our comfort zone. So we've got this huge amount of apathy and indifference. Not so much maybe as much intolerance, but indifference, which may in some ways be even worse. And that's what we in our churches have to, you know, if you always grade your own paper, you get an A.
Right.
You know, and so if we just look at ourselves and let ourselves grade our own paper, we think we may be doing pretty good at this level. But I think if we take an honest look and more importantly ask God's Spirit to search our hearts on this, then we can really see transformation. But again, to me, what's happening with us, we work with an organization in Dallas called Bridge Builders. Shout out to my buddy Mike Fetchner, who helped create that for us, for our church, to be able to bridge back into the city, into the community, and work, and not only pray together, but to actually help develop the community, building houses and creating job opportunities and ministry through medicine and other kinds of personal touch. And again, not just us, not just the white folks coming in and helping all you poor people, but us working together to do something great for God. And when that happens, the energy is unbelievable. The dynamic and the whole city, the world takes notice when that happens. They can pass on when we have a big prayer meeting together, that's good for us. But when the world sees us working together, loving each other, serving together, that's what changes everything.